Welcome to Ashtags, Practical Principles for Powerful People, Passionate about Purpose. Hello, beautiful people, and happy Friday. If you're new here, my name is Ashley, and I am here really for the next 3 or 4 weeks to talk your ear off about budgeting. So sexy, right? Well, whether it's sexy or not, it's definitely important. We know that there are seasons in our life where we are in abundance and we appreciate those times. And we know sometimes we go through lean seasons. But one thing I'm here to tell you is that no matter whether you are living in abundance or you're in a lean time, your stewardship over what you have is important, right? We're going to go over several different factors concerning budgeting. But before we do, I want to just take a moment and get into the Word of God. I'm going to share a parable with you and some takeaways from that parable. Now, what are parables? Parables are basically just stories. They're metaphorical stories that when Jesus walked the earth, he used those stories to relate profound information and wisdom in a very relatable way. So whether or not you were very well learned or whether or not you were, you were illiterate, he would use these stories as a meeting place where everybody could come and take something from it. Okay, so we're going to go to the book of Matthew 25, and we're going to read verses 1 through 13. You may have heard this called the parable of the 12 dancing princesses. You might have heard it called the parable of the 12 virgins. But I'm going to read it to you. And depending on how long you've been rocking with me, you might have heard me tell this story before, but we're going to take it from a slightly different view this time. Okay? The kingdom of heaven. This is Matthew 25, starting at verse 1, and it reads as thus. Then the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 bridesmaids who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. Okay, the 10 virgins, my bad. 5 of them were foolish and 5 of them were wise. The 5 who were foolish didn't take enough olive oil for their lamps, but the other 5 were wise enough to take along extra oil. When the bridegroom was delayed, they all became drowsy and fell asleep. At midnight, they were roused by the shout, "Look, the bridegroom is coming. Come out and meet him." All the bridesmaids got up and prepared their lamps. Then the 5 foolish ones asked the others, "Please, give us some of your oil, because our lamps are going out." But the others replied, "We don't have enough for all of us. Go to a shop and buy some oil for yourselves." But while they were gone to buy oil, the bridegroom came. Then those who were ready went in with him to the marriage feast, and the door was locked. Later, when the other 5 bridesmaids returned, they stood outside calling, "Lord, Lord, open the door for us." But he called back, "Believe me, I don't know you. So you too must keep watch, for you do not know the day or hour of my return." I think we get many profound lessons from that passage. And personally, I refer back to it regularly just to keep my own self in check. Okay, give me one moment. So here's the thing. 5 of the bridesmaids were considered foolish. Those bridesmaids had, I guess they had their lamp and they might have had some oil, but they did not have enough oil. Okay. And then 5 of those bridesmaids were considered wise. So they had their lamp, they had their oil, and it sounded like they had some oil just in case, like some oil saved up just in case, right? I believe that Jesus is trying to draw this very clear distinction about what it means to behave in a foolish way, in a wise way, in terms of preparation, right? Budgeting, and we'll talk way more about this, but budgeting is a form of preparation. It's a way of saying, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know that if something happens, I want to at least be able to throw something at it. I want a little oil to throw at it And I want to be prepared for the unexpected. Now, the thing about it is the groomsmen, they didn't know the time of the hour, right? So let's say they had some oil. Maybe they were all given the same amount of oil, or maybe they weren't given all the same amount of oil, but something about those wise women were like, okay, let me just take my extra oil. Let me just prepare just in case, right? Let me be ready so I don't have to get ready. Okay? Because when those ladies, the foolish ones didn't, they had to go get ready and they ended up being late. So I just say all this to say that we have to liken ourselves to those wise bridesmaids. We don't know what's coming. Can we be real? We don't know what's coming. It's a whole lot of stuff going on in the world right now. I don't know if you're watching the news. I don't know if you're keeping up with stuff on the internet, but we have a pivotal here in the United States, a pivotal presidential elections. The there is divisiveness out there, and we really have to can I just say, we really just have to be prepared for anything. And you know what? I already know where my vote is going. I will happily be voting for the candidate who I believe is the most qualified person who has ever ran for the presidency. And I hope that we can have a peaceful election. But you know what? I am just not. I am slightly tainted. I'm from Liberia, right? I have seen a dictator rise to power before. I remember my grandfather telling me that when Charles Taylor marched into the capital city in Liberia, people were outside with their flags, rolling it around, really thinking they were doing a good thing for the country. Well, his selfish ambition completely drove the country into the ground, to the point where we all had to basically flee there looking for a new place to call home. And I don't want that. I mean, been there, done that for me. Hello. Okay. I definitely don't want that to roll out here in the United States. So, you know what? Um, I just know that no matter who or what happens, one thing I'm gonna do is have my oil ready. Okay. And so I want us to all be on that same page. This idea of self-enterprise and personal productivity is something that is very important to me. And so this budgeting is just like that 101 that we're going to start with, to where we can all get to a place where we feel confident, we feel secure. We're going to get rid of guilt and shame concerning finances, and we're going to get to a proper footing. Are you with me? All right. So here, y'all, here's what we're going to be talking about for the next few weeks. Budgeting. Run it up. You better budget, baby. Because we don't want to be like those foolish virgins who, when the time comes, the hour comes for us to be gotten into the feast, we're sitting there with not enough and we can't get in. We don't want to be those folks. We want to be in the feast. We want to be present. We want to have enough oil to get us where we need to go and do what we need to do. And in order to do that, we need to budget. I'm not just talking about money either, although we're going to go into the money deal here, but I'm also talking about your time, your energy. You have to budget. You better budget, baby. And as you know, I don't get on here and tell y'all nothing that God is not working out in me. So here, let's get into it. So what is budgeting exactly? Budgeting is simply a plan for managing your income and expenses over a specific period of time. When you set it to a specific period of time, what you're doing is you're giving yourself clarity, because whether you do it by month or by every other month, you want to make sure that you have that time stipulation, so you know how much a certain amount of money is going to work for a certain amount of time. Now, within that budget, you want a contingency. You want something that is there just in case your budget plan doesn't work out. You have extra. So you see how these virgins, the wise virgins, had a little extra. put aside just in case the bridegroom doesn't come when they expected him to, which he didn't. He didn't come till midnight. They were already sleeping, but they had their extra put to the side uh, for that contingency plan. Okay. So now that's what budgeting is. So why do we need a budget? We need a budget because budgeting helps control our spending, right? Because we know what our priorities are, where our money needs to be going. Budgeting enables financial goal setting, right? When we have that clarity about the time and the cost of things, then we are really empowering ourselves to make some really good decisions and set goals for the future, right? Budgeting builds financial discipline. I'm gonna tell you something right now. That's why a lot of people don't do it. It's about discipline is a dirty word right now, okay? But it's necessary. And when you build financial discipline, you get to reap the benefits of it. Maybe not right in that moment, but if you are okay with this thing called delayed gratification, then you can benefit from that discipline. And then budgeting reduces financial stress. Can we just stop? How you do anything is how you do everything. And if you are operating your life in a way that is causing you unnecessary stress, what are you even doing? You can start today, decide that you're going to start making good decisions and that you're going to start budgeting your money a little bit better. And by next week, next month, you can be living with a little less stress about how you're going to pay for this, how you're going to pay for that, what's coming up. And it doesn't happen overnight, and it's going to take a while before you even totally understand all of what happens in a month for some of us, especially if you have young ones. You have things that come up at school, you have different things that come up. Sometimes you have car troubles and whatnot. But the choices you make today, the choice you make today to start being a little bit more diligent in budgeting is what's going to help you in the future. Okay, so budgeting really is the key to financial success. Okay. You better budget because you can achieve financial goals through through budgeting. Budgeting allows you to save for emergencies, save for retirement, save for education or large purchases. Budgeting allows you to give. If you haven't seen that Giving is Living episode, I highly advise you to see it, and I will put it at the bottom at the end of this video, so you can really understand that oftentimes people don't give because they don't know how much they have to give. Like truly, they're like, I don't know, I gotta pay my bills. Well, maybe if you would crunch some numbers, you would see, oh, I have maybe $100 to play with. I can choose to give it. I can choose to I could choose to help somebody in need. For me, that tithe, my husband and I, that tithe is our first and our best. It goes out first before any other thing, right? And then we have an understanding of what else we have for the rest of the month. And if we're able to give a little more, we'll do that, right? But you never know until you know, okay? And numbers don't lie. So once you put them out on paper, you have my favorite word, clarity. Okay. Better budget because it allows you to manage debt. I have debt. Everybody, I mean, it's a lot of rich people have debt. The issue becomes when the debt has you, okay, and you don't have a plan to use that money for to get more money and to be able to pay back that debt. It becomes an issue when you're missing the payment dates, and then they are allowed to tack on all these fees and charges. It becomes a problem when you're not keeping that balance low or zero, right? So we want to make sure that we are what prioritizing debt repayment, avoiding late fees, and reducing interest costs. And a simple budget with dates and amounts, and in a good long-term plan after a while will help you to eliminate that debt or manage it in a way that is actually advantageous for you. Because you get rewards, you get cash back. There are a lot of good things to use in credit, in my opinion, right? And even businesses use credit in order to create new revenue streams. There's nothing wrong with that. But you want to make sure you're a good steward and you're managing that debt properly, right? You better budget because you can track your spending habits that way. You don't know that you spend an extra $75 on junk food that's no good for you until you sit down and you start looking at it like, I spent $75 on junk food this week. A budget will just really make you look at it. And when you're developing your budget, and we'll go more into this when we get into the week where we talk about specific budgeting techniques. But you can just go over the last 3 months and categorize your spending and see how much are you spending on food, how much are you spending on entertainment, how much are you spending on your mortgage and your utilities. And when you have that amount, how much are you spending on subscriptions? And how often are you actually using those subscriptions? Hmm? So, whenever you develop your budget, you identify unnecessary expenses and areas where you can cut back. And I'm not saying take out your favorite things, take out your massages every now and then, I mean, everybody has a different budget, but you know what? Whenever you cut back, it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm taking away this thing that I really like. I can say, now I have this extra amount of money that I can put away, I can save, and then later on, I could do something I really love. Or I can, have this some security that I need for later on, or I can reduce stress in my life later on. So I don't need a massage every week. You understand what I'm saying? It's just giving you other options, and that's okay. And then you better budget because budgeting fosters your financial security. Budgeting can reduce your reliance on credit, true, and it increases savings for your future needs, right? You are empowering yourself. The budgeting, you are in charge of your budget. Your money does not run you. You run your money. Your money is a tool in your hands. So the better you know how to use that tool, the better off you're going to be, right? So you want to choose a budgeting tool and choose a budgeting technique. We're going to go over the budgeting techniques next week. But hey, look at that. There's a budgeting tool available to you for free. This is the budgeting tool that you're going to find in the financial stewardship resource packet that I have. And that packet is found at resources.wiseandthriving.com. When you sign up there, you're going to get this resource packet sent free to your email. And it has the budgeting tool, it has a debt manager, it has a net worth worksheet, and it has a life insurance need calculator, as well as other things. And you're going to be subscribed to the Wise and Thriving newsletter, where I send out updates about new videos every week, and then also resources like this for you. All right. I wanted to remind you that, this is in your hands. Truly, all of this is in our hands. It's what we choose to do with now, what we choose to do with today. We cannot control everything that happens in this world. We cannot control the outcome of the election. We cannot control, you can certainly go and vote, and I hope you do. But you cannot control the outcome, right? And you cannot control how crazy people are going to act in either way in reaction to the outcome of the election, right? That's just the long and short of it. But what you can do is you can make sure, you can say at the end of the day, I'm doing my part to live well. I'm taking care of my family, my money. I'm stewarding over my resources. I'm using my time wisely, and I'm giving the rest to the Almighty God, who is in charge of it all, and who can do more than I can and do things that I cannot. And I hope that as you continue on, really, that you will find the courage to budget wisely and be a good steward of what you have. And I'm going to leave you with one last thing, and that is Proverbs 21:20. And it says, a wise man saves for the future, but the foolish man spends whatever he gets. You can choose to be a wise man or a foolish man, a wise virgin or a foolish virgin. Truly, the choice is up to you. And I hope that you will choose wisdom. All right. I love you, and I will see you next week. Now, if you like what you heard here today, let's go ahead and make this relationship official. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next week.